Now, as I am currently recording this video, I do have to let you know the O'Neill shop has exploded. There was a drop earlier this week that completely crashed PayPal, and they had a huge kerfuffle getting all their numbers straight and everything. Had to shut the shop down, figure out where everything was. So, props to O'Neill for being right on top of a situation like that. But oh man, it got a little bit dicey there for the collectors for a while. So, that little bit of news out of the way, it's time for another monthly edition of the Glyos Recap, just to kind of let you know what's been going on in the world of interchangeable PVC figurines. I am going to show off a few things first, because I did promise that if you stuck around, I had another Nintendo surprise on a custom I was working on. I got this thing thrown together so fast. It's probably the fastest I've ever painted something up because I was so excited to see it finished up. See, when I saw the new Gly armor, I instantly had one thought in my mind, and it was a custom I absolutely had to do. So, with that, say hello to Samus. Samus the Traveler, I guess. Or Gly armor Samus. Absolutely pretty. So yeah, there's a lot going into this toy that you might not notice. Everything is painted. This started off as kind of a creamy white plastic and no paint apps on it whatsoever. Everything is painted on this toy to get it looking the way it did. The red is a custom color just to make sure it was as metallic as I needed it to be. Everything here came from the basic Gly armor figure except for the pelvis, because there's a different O'Neill piece that better fits Samus's natural lines and shapes. You see the arm cannon, which of course is another separate piece. And throughout the paint job, you can see little gaps where the armor kind of bends and has little foldy spots in it and everything. So there's detail all over this thing. You can even see the booster jets in the back of the armor. I'm thrilled with how this came out. This looks absolutely awesome. And hey, the paint is pretty solid, so it's also somewhat posable as well. I took a bunch of photos. I posted a few on Twitter, and yeah, I'm super happy with how that came out. So that I had to do. One more Nintendo-based Glyos custom. So I don't know what the next one's going to be. I've got a bunch of clear figures right now that I'm just waiting for the right idea to pop into my head. But that's not all. So you remember the last time we talked Glyos, I told you that my buddy John, who runs Toyfinity and the Robo Force Glyos figures, hooked me up with my most wanted toy, the Apocalypse Sarbos. Well, he also hooked me up with a bunch of stuff that I have this huge wanted list because I missed like 7 years worth of Glyos, so I'm kind of go back every now and then and just see what I can grab, and he hooked me up with a bunch of stuff. One of which was this guy. This is your basic Glyon in this very brilliant red color, and this is a very cool looking Glyon to begin with. But the one I wanted has an extra set of parts attached to him to make him kind of like an outer space, deep space look, which is much cooler. And he did send me that set, but it was already attached to a different Glyon. This one. And now this is going to be interesting. As you can see, it's the same shade of red, and the black is in the same spots. And they have the same Traveler insignia on the same shoulder. But obviously there's part swapping going on here, and there's paint apps that don't exist on the normal version. This is the retail. This is a test shot, or this was more accurately a paint sample. This paint pattern was used later on, but this was released in extremely limited numbers at a local toy show. And I don't know why he decided to sell me something this odd and rare, but it's incredibly cool, and it's quickly become one of my favorite Glyons out of the whole batch. And it kind of led me to wonder just what other just random mystery things are there out there that barely anyone knows about. Well, it led me to find out about another toy. See, this here is Neo Gatekeeper Vire. This was the very first Glyos toy I ever bought, and it's the Sarbos mold, which turned out to be my favorite design in all of Glyos. I am very connected to this toy as a result. I found out through asking about that weird Glyon that this has a reverse, an unreleased opposite version where same colors but on the opposite parts. And not easy to track down, because this toy was released in 2013. This is long gone from Onell's headquarters, and geez, not many got out when the thing existed. So this took a lot of digging, and luckily a bunch of Glyos reviews and these monthly recaps have given me a lot of friends in the community. So lo and behold, it does exist. This is the Neo Gatekeeper Vannon. You can see, same plastic colors, just parts swapped around, and the paint's in the same layout, just opposite color match. You take a close look at the chest on this one. You see how it's darker than the face and the belly? That was enough for Matt from Onell Design to completely scrap the release of this toy. He's that much of a stickler for perfection. It's a dedication to the quality of his product that I really admire. What I don't admire was the hundreds of toys he had to reconfigure when he found out about this defect, just so he had enough toys for his launch day. That I do not envy. That had to be a really rough job. But the end result is the existence of this strange little bugger here. And given my connection to Sarvos, my connection to the normal version, I am very honored and thrilled to actually possess an oddity like this. It's extremely cool, and I'm extremely grateful for all the help in getting it. I'm so happy with this one. Okay, so that's enough showing off of rarities and customs, because we've got more important things to do, like talk about figures that you were actually able to buy. So with no further ado, if you were not paying attention to the world of Glyos in the month of January 2016, this is what you missed. I'm going to start with Onell because they did have some brand new stuff, but it's not the biggest thing that came out in January. I will go ahead and tell you, my buddy Nee over at 481 Universe released a brand new version of his Outlander figure in the Vilser green color scheme that ended up being Arjun's final colors. I didn't get the chance to buy it this month, so if you like that color scheme, go check it out. He's got a ton of variety in his figures right now in his shop. It's very rare to find a Glyos store that still has as many toys in it as he does. So if you like the look of his little alien Outlanders, or want a Glyos toy that comes with a bunch of different heads, go check it out. There's bound to be some color scheme in there that suits your needs, because, oh my god, he makes a ton of stuff. So let's talk about Onell's release. This is the first release after the big conclusion of the Hades versus Arjun storyline, which introduced the Gly armor. And this ended up being a sample of what came later. This is produced in pretty heavy numbers. This is the Bioparalyzer version. Yeah, it's pretty basic. Clear white plastic with black, only done up on the visor. This is what I ended up turning into Samus. So very good for customizing, but also if you just want a set of Gly armor, he made a ton of this version, and last I checked, it's still available in the shop. So it's easy to get a hold of a Gly armor these days. But not to be outdone, there was a very heavily painted version as well, as the storyline now goes to something of a desert planet, so we have much more military color schemes going on. A lot of different paint apps going on here. Very different, very versatile look. And yeah, just like the others, there is a bird Vartrix head, which I don't have on me right now, so oversight on my part, unfortunately. But yeah, the Gly armor is continuing, and they are playing around a lot with the color schemes and where the paint applications go. The upcoming drop that I'll be getting on Monday, and I'll be showing off next month, is absolutely beautiful. Man, I can't wait to show that one off to you guys. And then we get to the interesting stuff. Well, starting with, well, I'll go ahead and show you off this guy. So, Arjun is gone, but the Buildman toy remains. This is, oh no, it's not Rannick, it's, sorry. I'm blanking. This is a brand new Buildman. It's in the Mark II configuration, so it's got all the same parts as your typical Arjun. It even comes with Arjun's head. But this is something of a new robot in the storyline, and it's Gonna be interesting to see how this one kind of grows and evolves. But again, he's got unique paint apps going on. Shoulder that's never been painted before on this version of the toy. And if you want an Argent again, you can build him up out of this guy. So that is what the build man is going to look like for the foreseeable future. And I actually really like how he looks that way. So I don't really mind that. You know, Argent kind of deserves a break. He's carried the storyline for like 2 years now. Time to bench him for a little while, I feel. Sinar. That was his name. Sinar. Sorry, I don't know why I blanked on that. The Nobotos came back, and the Nobotos are heavily painted these days. This thing is cast in that gray plastic, and everything else is painted. It's absolutely insane levels of paint. You can see he's got the same insignia, so he is with these guys. Other than that, he has a very creepy, dark look to him, especially with those black eyes. It's very creepy and a little bit unnerving. Not as unnerving as the other one that came out. Oh my god, oh my god. He looks like the Grinch after he stole the Santa suit. This guy's absolutely demented. Yeah, apparently there's like raiders who are going after the stuff they're protecting, and this... He doesn't have any insignia on him. It looks very different from anything else in the wave. So I'm going to assume he's one of the raiders. So we've got an actual, like, space alien bad guy that's, like, often looting things. Look at the reptilian eyes on that. I've never seen a Noboto that had those before. It gives him such a different look from the standard. Super creepy design, but I'm kind of into it that way. So besides that, there was some really cool new stuff as well as some new ways of looking at old toys. For instance, another Robo Force set came out under the Onel banner, except it looked like this. Well, it kind of looked like this. Here, hang on. Once again, my absolute lack of preparing as I'm about to cast a shadow as I reach over to my shelves and back over. So yeah, what you're looking at is a Robo Force set. You know, the same one that formed this figure. Now granted, there's a bunch of parts missing on this one because this typical Onel configuration doesn't require all of them. But it's the same exact parts set, just used in a completely different way. You can even see a few similar parts there you can probably peg out if you look carefully. That's why I love these things so much. I mean, it's such a radically different design. And the neat thing is, this came in this configuration. But on the blog, Matt was showing off a bunch of different configurations for it for different vehicles that the Glyos characters up here could pilot it with. So this walker ended up being my favorite. You can see it can rotate around and the legs do extend out. It's not the most stable of things, but I end up really, really liking it. There was also kind of something akin to like a Star Wars speeder bike that was shown off, some personal, like, individual vehicles. Extremely cool stuff, and all done from the same set of parts. It's quite exceptional, like, what they can come up with just a little bit of imagination. You also might have noticed the guy piloting him, I mentioned was a Glyos, but looks very different, and it might look like a completely different new mold to you. Well, it's not, actually. I'm going to unplug him here. Come on. Alright, so set the walker aside for now, and I'll show you. It is a Glyos. See, he's got the same gun in the same spot, same kind of configuration. But here, the Glyos is wearing the Gly armor that previously only the Traveler figures had worn. This is the versatility of the new Gly armor. It fits the Glyos and the Traveler molds perfectly, and it creates such a different look for this toy. It's absolutely exceptional. You can tell he's also using the armor backwards, so it gives him a lot more distinction from just your standard Gly armor. And just like that, they can be switched around, and you can come up with your own custom creations. You can see slightly different paint design on here. It had a different Vartrix head, so you had your choice in feather color if you wanted to use one of the bird heads. So versatile. So cool. So that is not a brand new toy. That's just a clever way of reconfiguring an old one. So with that done, I'll get the walker set up here so you can set it in the background there. there was a completely new mold in the works. Behold, this guy, which I probably should have looked up the name of because I can't remember what he is under the Onell banner, but this is a Zeroid mold. So John from Toyfinity, who does the Robo Force, also has the rights to the old Zeroids toys, and now they have come back as a Glyos compatible toy line. Smaller, with a fewer part count, but completely compatible with the standard Robo Force figures. Next month, I'm going to show you what came out from Robo Force in February, and oh my god, it's some really epic stuff. So, and this guy is a starring role in that set. But here he's in a completely different configuration. It kind of matches the Gendrome look that a lot of Onell robots go for, with a dome head and little pipe arms and things like that. So Onell got to release this mold first, which is a little bit weird, but hey, it's Onell, so can't really begrudge them, because they kind of started the whole thing. Not kind of, they did. So that was a huge drop, a lot of new stuff that came out that month, and that was just from Onell. We haven't talked about the God Beast yet. Oh my god, what a month he had. So for starters, I'm going to go ahead and show you this beauty. He did a bunch of new Kabuto Mushis, but this one was my favorite, so I kept my order a little bit more simple, and we stuck to this. I love all of the different shades of brown and the gold on the brightest shade. It's a really, really nice color combination. It doesn't go for the super bright or clashing color schemes that Marty tends to lean towards sometimes. This is an extremely pretty look, and it's very cohesive, and I like that. And it has a matched figure. That figure being the Titan Mushi. This was the big deal for a long time. A brand new piece of Glyos vinyl. And this, if you pay attention to Glyos, you got to see the entirety of the development of this toy. And it's been a long process to get it to the point where it's a physical item you can actually buy. As you can see, it's another vinyl piece from Onell Design and the God Beast. It has the same compatible vinyl ports that you can find on the Rig, the Armadoc, and all of the other big Glyos vinyl out there. Completely hollow, but also completely unbreakable as a result. And this thing is loaded with paint detail. You've got all the black, all the brown, all the panel lining everywhere. He wanted to make sure the standard release of this big bug was absolutely astounding, and he did a great job on it. Absolutely amazing work. You know, this is the kind of thing where it's like, I love just the idea that you can just mold something or carve something and turn it into a toy yourself. So cool. The neat thing about this is it's got your standard articulation. You know, it's all swivel joint because, well, that's kind of how these things work. And you do have rotation here at the claws. They do have a kind of a weird angle to them, but it can look kind of menacing with his pinchers up and ready to grab anything. And his thighs also swivel up and down. So you got 6 points of articulation, which is pretty typical of these things. However, he does have enough range of motion, and he does have things at just the right angles to where you can actually put him in a quadruped state. And you get something a little bit more akin to how a beetle actually is going to look. He has something of a beast of burden look to him here, and that's actually an intentional thing. On the back, you're going to see what looks like one of those little discs you can carve out of other Onell vinyl in order to create your own custom sockets. That was the intention of this toy. Originally, there was like some extra bug that could attach to the back. That did get budgeted out because this guy kind of got expensive. But if you are brave enough to actually cut that disc out, it is possible to attach a Kabuto Mushi figure like so and actually fuse the two into one. And so far of the figures released, this is possible and is a very cohesive combination on more than one toy. So you have matching colors on the Mushi, matching colors on the Titan, and coming together, it kind of looks like they merge into one big beast of war. It's an incredibly cool little play pattern to think up. But in order to be a solid connection, you gotta be brave enough to cut into the vinyl. I don't think I have the heart to do it to this particular one because it's the standard release. It's the first main release of the Titan Mushi, and it runs a little bit more expensive because of all the paint apps. As of the recording of this video, this guy just sold out. The Instar version, which looks kind of like this guy, is a lot cheaper to buy and is still available as of this current recording. I will say he does run more expensive than your standard Glyos vinyl. The vinyl that Onel releases is about 25 bucks a pop. This one is 35. And if you're a collector of independent vinyl, for a figure this size, because he's definitely bulkier than the stuff that Onel releases, that's not going to come as a surprise. That's about going rate for something this big with this many parts and this much molding, etc. So it's a tough pill to swallow if you're not used to that kind of toy world. But for those who are, yeah, that's pretty much how it comes down to. So yeah, this might be a while before I have the guts to actually cut into one, or customize one for that matter. I know exactly what I'd paint him into if I was actually willing to paint one up. But yeah, that was the big news. And that toy did get a big delay because, again, Glyos people are very picky about quality on their releases. I got the chance to handle the T3 test shot, the final test shot before the main production one released, and according to Marty, one of the shoulder connections was just a little bit too loose, and I will confirm, yes, not by much, but it was loose, just a little bit, but it's that little bit that matters, because once a little bit of mold degradation sets in, that little loose becomes a lot of loose, and you have to replace the mold that much faster. So it set him behind another 3 or so weeks just to have the gap tightened up a little bit. That's kind of strange, but hey, that's the world of toy production. And again, while it did mean he missed his launch window that he planned, it meant you got the toy as good as it could possibly come out. So again, I kind of had to applaud the commitment to craftsmanship that goes into these toys. It's not just farted out of a factory and the CAD machine at a big company. They carve them by hand, they sculpt them, and they are very loving with these creations. So it is very important to them that they all turn out as good as they possibly can, and I applaud that. So that is the world of Glyos for January of 2016. There's already big stuff in the works for this year, and I'm going to have a lot more to show off, and I still like doing these. So I hope I'll see you next month for another recap of the world of Glyos. And if you want to pay attention to it, you might want to, because as the recent drop this week proved, you kind of have to be there when this stuff comes out, or it gets really hard to come by. Which reminds me, never buy from the eBay scalpers. Collectors on the actual Glyos Connect forum are more than happy to hook you up on a far more reasonable price. Don't ever buy from the scalpers on eBay that are charging 3 times as much. They're nothing but crooks. That's my PSA. Goodbye, guys. Wow.